Welcome to Star Joe's. I'm your host Ryan, and today I'm doing something a little differently. And the reason why is because something happened just in the last 24 hours that I felt like I needed to address right away. So this is really an unedited video. I'm just kind of free-forming it here, and not going to have a lot of, or really any pop-ups or other videos or anything like that. I'm not going to be doing any jump cuts. This is just me talking and in response to a reaction to something that happened. And I know there's a lot of G.I. Joe fans out there, a lot of IDW fans out there that are feeling the same way. And it was something that was very upsetting today. So right now, IDW is publishing a G.I. Joe comic, and the author of this is Aubrey Sitterson. And I initially had read Aubrey's stuff with a crossover that was done, which was G.I. Joe versus Street Fighter. And I thought it was okay. It was a bit predictable, but it wasn't bad. And I heard that what a passion that Aubrey had for the G.I. Joe property. And I was like, well, that's really cool. And I heard that he was going to be put on the new G.I. Joe book that was coming out of Revolution. And I was like, okay, I'll give the guy a shot and everything else. And I heard a lot of complaints about how he was doing G.I. Joe, the art in it and everything else. And I gotta admit, I wasn't one that was a big fan of the art. But I was like, I'm going to give it a chance. I give everything a chance when it comes to, 80s properties and everything else. And I read the G.I. Joe book, and I really enjoyed the first couple issues. I thought it was enjoyable. It was different. I still wasn't a fan of the art, but it was different. And it had more of a feel of the old 80s cartoon. And so I was actually really enjoying it. Read the next few issues, and I was like, okay, this is still fun and overall enjoyable, but it's getting on that cheesier side of what the 80s cartoon was like. But I was like, you know what, I enjoyed the 80s cartoon. I'm still enjoying this for the most part. Then I heard that it was ending, and that after Strike Force happened, we would be getting a new G.I. Joe series, which was Scarlet Strike Force. And it was originally called G.I. Joe Unmasked, because it was going to be like Mask and G.I. Joe getting together, which is still part of this new title. But it looked like it was very zany. It looked like it was, there's dinosaurs involved and Cobra Vipers that were actually snake people and stuff. So I was like, all right, this is way out there. But again, I thought that with the first series that Aubrey was doing, and I actually wanted to have Aubrey on the show, on the podcast that we do for Star Joe's, and kind of get his take on, where he's going and why he's excited and things like that. And then on Labor Day, he made a comment about burning a boss in effigy. And there was a lot of Joe fans that got really upset by this. And I was like, okay, it's in poor taste as far as what he was saying. But this is a guy who seems to come across as very anti-corporation, anti-capitalism, which seems kind of weird for someone that's writing a book called G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, or that his book isn't G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, it's just G.I. Joe, so maybe he's taking the American Hero part of it out of it. It just seemed weird, but I was like, I'm going to give the guy benefit of the doubt. Maybe if I do have him on the show, I can give him a chance to kind of explain what he meant by that and everything else. And then 9/11, the date of 9/11 happened. And not the tragedy itself, but just the most recent date of 9/11 happened. And he goes to Twitter again. And what he puts is, oh good, it's self-centered national tragedy remembrance from people who weren't even anywhere near New York City Day. And a lot of people, including myself, were really upset by this. You don't get to dictate how people felt about that day. It was 16 years ago. and we're still feeling the effects of that day. Like, it still lives in all of us. And he followed it up trying to almost justify why he was saying what he was saying by actually saying, I'm catching flack for this, but as a guy who stood in the streets of Lower Manhattan where he lived and watched it all unfold, F you. So he's basically saying, you guys are giving me flack, but I was there, I lived there. You don't know what it was like, so F you. And I'm saying that rather than the actual language he used, because I try to keep this relatively clean. But you also weren't there when people were dying and losing their loved ones. And maybe you did lose a loved one, I don't know. But there were people there that lost actual loved ones. So you don't know what they were experiencing. You don't know how it affected other people across the country. Was it horrible for someone that lived in New York? Absolutely. I can't even imagine what it was like living there and having this happen. And maybe that makes it feel way more personal for you. I had family that lived in New York. They thankfully were all fine. I know other people that weren't so lucky. And they weren't there in New York, but believe me, they felt the effects of it. And if they want a little bit of sympathy for it, I think they're entitled to that. I think they deserve that. I think they deserve your respect. So just because you can't deal with your own post-traumatic stress from it, you don't lash out at everybody else that's trying to deal with it in their own way. It's uncalled for. It's unprofessional. You're a public figure at this point. You're someone whose message is out there for people to consume and to pay attention to. And you can't show any respect to the people who are out there that actually feel something about that day. Hell, most of this country feels something about that day. At least they should. And I find it disgraceful that you would chastise people for that. You're also a writer, and for you to not find the words, the appropriate words, to really what you should have done was apologize because maybe something didn't come across the way you meant for it to come across. Telling everyone to go screw themselves, basically. That, again, uncalled for, unprofessional. I'm sorry, I'm just having a really hard time with this. He also replied to that saying, don't let people get away with co-opting tragedies for their own personal gain, whether it's garnering false sympathy online or starting wars. People weren't looking to do that. People were looking to express themselves. This still affects people to this day. People still lost people, and they didn't have to be in New York for that to happen. And then he tried to backtrack, and in a way he tried to backtrack. He basically said, how about the first qualifier that everyone is skipping over, self-centered? Difference between sincere remembrances and self-centered ones. It's not for you to dictate which ones are self-centered, which ones are genuine remembrances. It's not for you to make that call. And even if someone's feeling a little self-centered because of what happened that day, I think, again, they have every right to feel like they need something that day. You're obviously feeling a little self-centered by making comments about, well, I was there, and chastising other people. I heard from a lot of people that listen to the podcast, that watch these videos, and what they had to say was very telling. There were some people that told me that when 9/11 happened, they actually went a day or two later to their comic shop, or a week later to their comic shop, and picked up the Devil's Due G.I. Joe that came out, which is beloved by a lot of G.I. Joe fans. And it gave them some sense of normalcy, and it gave them an escape for a little bit with everything that was going on. People, you know, it was tough to watch all the tragedy that was going on and process it all. And sometimes you needed that little bit of escape, that little bit of normalcy. And they picked up Devil's Due G.I. Joe. And now the writer of G.I. Joe is chastising people because they felt something for that day and because they wanted to let other people know that they were feeling something about remembering what happened that day. I have never given up on a comic book because of a creator or because the comic was bad. I have read some stuff related to G.I. Joe and related to Star Wars and related to Transformers and all the stuff that I cover on the podcast and on this YouTube channel. I've read stuff that was just, I did not enjoy. I didn't want to read. But I did it anyways. I supported the properties. I supported the publishers. I supported the creators. And there's been times where I didn't agree with the points of view of a certain creator, but I still kept reading the comic anyways. I'm not going to do that with this. I hope IDW sees this. I hope IDW is listening to their fans. But when you employ a creator like this that doesn't care about America or doesn't care about the people in America and how they might be feeling, and you put that person on a title that's all about the American spirit, or should be all about the American spirit and all about people overcoming things, I don't know what to say. And I have never given up on a comic before. I have never said I'm not going to buy that comic because of something somebody said or something somebody did. I'm doing that with this comic, though. I'm not picking up Scarlet Strike Force as long as Aubrey Sitterson is writing it. I'm never going to buy another comic ever written by him. He doesn't want to apologize. So even if he does come out and apologize, it's going to be fake. IDW has sent form letters back to people that have sent them messages about this comment that was made by Aubrey. And the form letter apologizes for Aubrey. But the thing is that he is not sorry for what he is saying. And as long as he's not sorry about it, and as long as he feels no remorse for it, then none of us should feel any remorse for not supporting the comic that's coming out. The last G.I. Joe comic sales were tanking. It has a lot to do with the product that's being put out. It has a lot to do with the creator. He self-proclaims on Twitter all the time about being an amazing writer. You know what? And I get it. You have to promote yourself. Your writing's mediocre at best. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I enjoyed it. Still about average, though. And if you're going to put out stuff like this and criticize people, and this isn't about me. This isn't about me at all. It's not about my show. It's not about anything. It's not self-centered why I'm doing this. It's because I've listened to people that are out there that support this property so much, and you've insulted every single one of them, and you don't care. Realize you made a mistake. Realize what you said was insensitive to other people. But I know you don't feel that way. So I'm asking anyone out there that's listening that feels the same way as I do right now to please not support this book. Send IDW a message letting them know. Be professional about it. Do not attack Aubrey at all. Don't attack him directly. He's not going to want to listen anyways. But let IDW know with your wallet. Let them know with any messages you want to send them. But again, be professional about it. Let them know how this has affected you. Let them know how this has hurt you. And for anyone out there that did lose somebody during 9/11, or anyone that's lost anyone at any time, you know, you have my sympathies, and I don't care how you express it. I don't care if it's self-centered for you. I don't care if it's however you want to express it, you express it. I really want to know what you guys think about this. I hope you'll leave comments down below. I did not monetize this video. I'm not looking to profit from it in any way. It was just a message I needed to get out there. And again, it's not edited, so I apologize. It might not be as polished as some past videos. But again, I hope that you guys will listen to it. I hope IDW listens to it. I hope you'll share this with other people that feel the same way, and let you guys know that you're not alone. Doing something like this is disgraceful, and no company should be proud to have somebody representing them that does put something out there like this. Guys, take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video with a bit of a happier topic. Thanks.